In the Power Ghost universe, characters are represented by two separate yet equally important groups: the writers, who illustrate their crimes, and the audience, who judge the offenders accordingly. This video series is dedicated to the latter. Hey, welcome back, guys. Out of the three most deplorable mothers throughout the Power universe, the other two being Tasha St. Patrick and Raquel Thomas, Monet Tejada just may take the cake as the worst matriarch of the entire series. Fierce, unwavering, troublesome, and dare I say maniacal, Monet Tejada's actions have carved her into a critical space where she currently lays fighting for her life. But how did she arrive to such an impasse? In today's video, we'll break down Monet's crimes throughout the series and leave it to you all to decide whether she deserves to live or die. Before we begin, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and bell notification to immediately receive these videos. Also, big thank you to all of my channel donors. If you'd like to be the next one, drop $1 on that Cash App for us. And lastly, a spoiler alert is now in effect for all things Power. Here we go. Before we get into the bad and the ugly, let's begin with the good. Because believe it or not, Monet does have some good qualities about her. She's a family-first minded individual and a strong-willed leader, a businesswoman, and even dare I say, a wise mentor to her three children, such as displayed with the conversation that she has with Diana way back in season 1, training her to be not just a common woman, but a woman of power and influence, using her gifts of nature in order to attain the things that she desires, without compromising her integrity. These are the virtuous aspects to Monet's personality. The issue resides in how she uses them, because unlike most parents with a clear conscience, Monet doesn't view her children as just children. Her children to her are soldiers. Soldiers in the war of the streets, with the Tejada name providing them access to plant their flags wherever they see fit, given the strength of their formerly incarcerated and now slain father, Lorenzo Tejada. Someone we'll get to in just a minute. But let's talk about the transgressions of Monet Tejada. While her husband was incarcerated, she maintained a more than friendly relationship with a law enforcer in order to provide information to the Tejada family about things going down on those very streets. And although she wasn't as romantically involved as he was, Mama gotta have a life too, and she used him for those carnal needs as well as logistic ones that would give the Tejada family an upper hand in all matters of the streets. This calculated yet scandalous nature would even follow into season 2, as Monet flirted with the idea of leaving her husband and family for the menacing Mecca, who, if you're like me, we all miss having around in the Power universe. To put these transgressions in context, her husband was incarcerated at the time through most of these instances. And so you can understand how someone, believing that the one who they've committed to isn't coming home, would have to seek refuge in other people elsewhere. However, upon Lorenzo's return home, Monet's discomfort elevated into a serial discontent as she grew disdain for her husband's stranglehold on the family and with his decisions in general. You see, once Lorenzo was in prison, Monet had something that many yearned for after being married, having children, and playing their role for so many years, and that was freedom. She was free to continue raising their children as she saw fit, understanding that his influence only had so much reach from behind prison bars. Monet was also free to make her own decisions in concert with her husband's tutelage and input, but the final say always came down to Monet. And as this feeling began to fleet, so did her confidence in her husband. And it would even factor into later events caused by Lorenzo's own heavy hand. Monet's scandalous nature wasn't just limited to her partners, though. It would also bleed over into her very own children, so critically that she would hide the fact that the person that we believe to be her nephew was actually her oldest son, Ezekiel Cross. And this was a reality that she kept not only from her children, but from her very own husband. And it only came to light at that pivotal yet hilarious Tejada family dinner, where Diana exposed it all before a much entertained viewing audience, slamming Zeke's birth certificate on the table like the big joker in a spades game. But not only has she lied about hiding a child, but she also lied about that child's age, completely destroying his chances of ever going pro, as he was beyond the age limit to be drafted in his class, tricked into believing he was 4 years younger than he actually was, something that was hinted to beautifully by the writers back in season 1, when he ran into Brayden in the liquor store and said that, quote, "They never carded me here. I bet they didn't. With your big ass, you look old as hell." But all jokes aside, these revelations destroyed the Tejada family trust, irrevocably so, and led to Zeke estranging himself from the family and finding comfort in someone else, another matriarchal figure who he was also romantic with at the time, someone who we all miss having around on this show, and that is Professor Carrie Milgram. But again, wherever Monet goes, scandal surely follows. And understanding that so long as Carrie was around, she would never have the sole influence and control over Ezekiel's life, path, and decisions, she killed Carrie in an act of calculated coldness. And worse yet, she lied directly to her son's face about the icy maneuver. But hey, when you're this deep in lies already, why not keep going? Monet would pay for these sins by losing the very son that so many of her deceptions were tied to. And worse yet, she lost him to the hands of a man who didn't even play a part in creating him. And that was her own husband, Lorenzo Tejada. While under this state of judgment, Monet was erratic and more visceral than ever before. Her favorite target was her own daughter, Diana. But in many ways, she took out her anger on the entire family, emphatically disrespecting Lorenzo in ways that diminished his character before our very eyes. Remember back to season 1, Lorenzo was a fierce, powerful individual. And even in a state of incarceration, he maintained that powerful frame and stance. But Monet had ways of belittling him, and the fact that he maintained the lie about killing her son further devolved his characterization. But as we know, that would all change once light finally found another way to shine upon the darkness of the Tejada family and their secrets, as Lorenzo's role in killing Zeke would be outed. And once Monet discovered his role, she did the unthinkable. She murdered the father of her children, using a proxy of course, but maintained her status as the hidden hand nevertheless. In doing this, she all but eradicated what was left of the Tejada family trust, ethos, and collective altogether. And this would lead her own children to plot against her in a way that they never would have thought to before, having killed for her, robbed for her, and done things that no mother would ever require of their sons or daughter. But they did these things for her because they were good soldiers, for the only general they ever knew, and now the last general they had left. But when you practice treachery in front of your children and demonstrate diabolical qualities, you can never discount how much they truly learn from you. And when they start using your own tricks against you, it's just another way for judgment to enter your very door. And where Monet currently rests and how she got there directly derives from all of her choices, her lies, her deceptions, and to take it even further, her evil towards her family. Interestingly enough, such judgment will even be compounded, as we've seen from the images of the first episode of this final season, as Mecca and Lorenzo are making a return from the spirit world in order to deduce just what we're deducing here. Does Monet deserve to live or perish for the many crimes against her family? She's taken zero accountability for her actions, and the closest thing to accountability was the statements that she made to Diana just prior to being shot. But she'll have much to think about this season, assuming she survives the first episode and the many episodes that will follow. But to this point, what are your thoughts on all of this? Does Monet indeed deserve to live? Or have her actions been beyond reproach? And is she worthy of death? Be sure to drop me your opinions in the comments below. As always, I thank you for watching today's video. If you liked today's video, go ahead and drop $1 in that Cash App for us, hit the like button, share it with your friends who are Power fans, and subscribe for more content such as this. This is Rudy P. Magic of Rudy P. Magic Beats, and have a blessed one until the next one. Peace, y'all.